Okay, I'm gonna start the stream. Okay, last time I left off with top K elements and I completely butchered it. So I'm gonna try to work on it today. I think I had seen a solution, and as I was reading it, I realized that the solution I had come up with was completely wrong. And by that point, I think it was my third question. And so I did not have the energy to rethink of the solution. So I figured I'd put it on to the next time I come on here and attempt to solve it again. So this time we'll look at the question, then we'll do a whiteboard. And then we'll try to solve it. So this is the question. So given an array of nums and an integer k, return the k most frequent elements. You may return the answer in any order. And we're doing the Neetcode version, so I think the questions just might be phrased a little different. Okay, so he adds on these two lines. So he says that the answer will always be unique and that we can return the output in any order, which is pretty nice. And I'm going to do a new solution. And I guess we could just go to the whiteboard. I think I have this on the whiteboard. And I could walk through how I misinterpreted the question first and then what the question is actually asking. Also, here's some, use a hash table, divide and conquer, bucket sort, and a heap, priority queue. Okay, we're gonna go to the whiteboard. So I moved the screen over because yesterday I was in a different setup. So let me readjust these screens. Like the whiteboard should be over here. Perfect. Okay. With the inputs, what I thought it was asking was it wanted us to return all of the numbers in the array that occurred k times. So in this example, we have this array and we have 2 and 3 that occur at least 2 times. And so I figured we can place all the numbers into a map, and then for their values, we could increment the times they reoccurred. And so the reason this is wrong is because what they meant by k is give me the top k values in the array that appear, which is completely different. So let's see, what they actually wanted was for us to look at the array and return the number that appears the most, or specifically the 2 numbers that appear the most for this case. But if this was, let's say k was 1, okay, yeah, let's say, I guess my pen's not working. Okay, let's say k was 1. In the array, the value with the most numbers is 3. The table would still work. The only problem with the table is I don't know if it meets the time complexity. Also, in this example, the values are sorted for us, but if they were not sorted, then we would have to iterate through the whole table to find the value at the top that repeats the most. So we might be able to use the table still. I'm wondering if that is one of the solutions. Okay, so how can we solve this? I'm gonna look at the hints. Okay, so a bad solution takes n log n. I don't know what bucket sort is. I mean, I feel like I've seen it before. I don't know how it's applicable to this specific question because I can't remember how it works. Yeah, maybe we should look into bucket sort algorithm. Let's see. To do some research. Is there a visual of how bucket sort works? An illustration, an array, follow these steps. Create an array of size 10 where each slot represents a bucket. Insert elements into the bucket from the input array based on their range. Okay. Is this the most optimal solution? I'm trying to think, can we make a tree and then have like an attribute for each node that tells us the size of the tree? Okay, what I'm thinking is we could use the table. We use the table. Then we sort by value. Then we can iterate k times. Just thinking about that bucket sort gives me a headache. I think I'm going to do this for now. So I want to search one thing, which is sorting. Oh, let me share my screen. I want to sort the map by value. And I'm wondering if there's like a built-in method for that. Why does it have a lambda? Is this more intuitive or not? I feel like this is the worst. Okay, we're gonna try to take this sorting and this iterator. We need the iterator to place them into a vector for the result. So this kind of does a lot of the work. All we need to do now is make the map, which actually is what I had on this other one. Okay, we can delete this. So we just want to add the key. I think we have to set this to 0. So, yeah, so if the map does not contain the number, we want to set that as the key, set that number as the key, and its value should be 0 when we first encounter it. Then the second time we encounter it, we are going to increment the value. Essentially, this creates the map with the correct number of occurrences as values. And then here's where we paste all that other code. Oh, why is it doing that? Okay, and then we want to copy, or we want to convert the I think that's what it's doing. So copy the contents to vector of pairs. String and an integer. We want 2 integers. Yeah, the map's keys and values are integers. So if that's ascending, we want to do the other one. And descending order. And then I'll put results So we want to put the result, maybe not. Yeah, it's not going to be this. It's going to be I is equal to 0, while I is less than k. So because it's in descending order, we want to do back. I believe that should give us the right thing. I think this is wrong. Let's try this. I'll run it. I misspelled it. Oh, I don't know why I pressed it again. Okay, let's see if this works. Okay, I'm just gonna explain what I just did. So I was doing vec I, but vec is a pair, where first is the actual values from the nums array, and then second is their counter, or the amount of times they were recurring. Which we didn't want second, we wanted first. I'm not too sure if you don't have first. I'm not too sure what this returns. That is index. Maybe it's index. So essentially, number 2 sorts. It sorts the vector by their values in descending order, and then we can iterate through that vector k times, and then push the nums value into the results vector, and then we can return that. I think I should have a complexity. Oh no, I ran out. But we can check how fast it runs. I think there's like this weird. Okay, we can analyze it. Let's see. It's O of n. copying might be oven. Not too sure. Yeah, this should just be oven. Not doing anything special. Just iterating through our map and putting it on the vector in no specific order. The sort, I believe it was n log n. And then so this just might be worst, like the worst case. The solutions. Yeah, I think we're doing it like this. Let's see. This is much cleaner than what I'm doing here. Wait a minute. Yes, okay. Okay, I think this is trivial solution, which is what I'm doing with the hash map. Yeah, that's essentially what I was thinking. But looks like there's better ways. Bucket sort being the best. Okay, we'll come back to optimal solutions later down the line. I think for now, I just want to solve them in the way that seems intuitive to me, just to kind of get those out of my system. I don't know, I've heard people say in interviews they get, like they'll get a solution and then they'll be asked like, is that the best solution or is there like a better way to solve it? And so I feel like always having the optimal solution doesn't give room for like critique. Whereas like, I think if you start off with a bad solution, then at least you have room for improvement. You're not like this 10x coder or something. Anyways, this is solved. This makes a lot more sense than what I did yesterday. Also, I essentially copied this from this AI output. But we kind of whiteboarded what I wanted to do. So should I have coded it? Maybe. I think yeah. I've done some interviews where they let you use the internet. And I've done some interviews where you pretty much, you don't get the AI output, but you get links like Geek for Geeks, Stack Overflow, and you can essentially just like copy code from there. So like I would not, I know we could use sort on a vector. I would not have been able to do this lambda. I'm not too sure what it does here. And I've never used pairs either. Wait, I'm gonna look that up real quick. Okay, I'm not too sure what's happening in the background of my computer. So let's see. We can do, I've never used pair before. Why do you even do that? So it's a template class. Okay. Okay. Move on to the next question. I would say this is solved. The next question, let's see. Also, I think it says I solved 2 today, which I didn't. I went to one of the old ones, which was daily temperatures. I guess I forgot to submit last time, and I just clicked submit. I think it's an encode and decode. Let's see. Look at the whiteboard. Yeah, so this is LEETCODE number 271, which I think you have to pay for. Because I tried looking up the number and I could not see the question. So you need LEETCODE Premium. But you could watch it, you could do it on Neetcode, so pretty nice. We should look at the question first. What does it say? Okay, let's look at the question. This is LEETCODE 271. Okay, so we're making an algorithm to encode a list of strings to a string. Encoded string is then set. So the sender has this function. Okay, they have encode, and then the second one has decode. Machine 1 does encode string. Okay, so we're supposed to return a string. And then decode returns a vector type string. string 2 and machine 2 should be the same as string. Right, that makes sense. I mean, yeah, when you decode the string, it should be the same, right? So okay, here's an example. Okay, that, hold up. Machine 1. So encode string. It's the string. Wait, I'm so confused by this. Okay, encoding takes OVAM. So for encoding, we take an array and then we turn it into one word or one string, and we just return that. Is that what it's saying? I'm so confused. And then decode takes that and then splits it back into its vector. Okay, we need some massive whiteboarding going on here. Let's see. Let me grab the text from the example. So, this is weird. Do we need to use a special character to like group them together? How do we decide? It's like a delimiter, right? But how do we decide what character to use? Can we even use a character considering that it might show up as the string, in the string? I don't know if anyone's done this before. Let's see. Okay. I'm wondering if there's a way to do so, yeah, so we want to take in the vector, the dummy input, essentially turn it into this, which is a string. So we want to group them. The hard part is when we want to decode them and put them back into their vectors, we need a way to indicate like that. We need a character that separates the words. So let's say okay, this is the vector. And then we are gonna turn it, we're gonna use, just for this example, we're gonna use a comma as the character that splits them. Then when we, okay, this is the string, that the encode method returns. I don't think this is the right character to use. Because what if like hello has that comma? Then we have 2 commas. Also, what if it has like, you know, like a bunch of commas? What do we do then? We'd have to count them, so we know which one our delimiter is. That's not a good approach, I think. Okay, I'm gonna look at the hint. What is the topic? Array string design. Okay, the first hint says we would use a non-ASCII character as a delimiter. But can we think of a better way, is what it says. Can we think of a better way? Okay. Before I look at the second hint, I should probably think about this. I think the hint's just saying don't use a delimiter. Okay, if we're not going to use a delimiter, what can we use to separate them? Wait, I think I have an idea. Can we use like a character? Flip the bits? Can we flip the bits of the string for each value in the array? And then I don't think that would work. So this is what I'm thinking. Okay. I don't know if I could draw this. So let's assume that the word hello has let's say it has yeah, this is its byte, its bit, its byte, not bit. And then we'll use a character like the period. And then let's assume that the period has, also it's a bit, so it's missing values here, but let's just assume for simplicity that the period has this value. We can use XOR on hello. And essentially flip all the bits for hello. Let's say it flips it to all ones. For the sake of simplicity here, I'm not trying to flip bits by hand. Okay, so then this is our new string. We could do the same operation, but now with world, and then this, let's say it does like, turns it out to zeros. Right, Then we can group them together. So we'll essentially have like 1, 1, 1, whatever, and then 0, 0, 0. We'll have this. I don't know, this is my question. Is this a valid string? And I think that's one of the limitations that they mention, which is, wait, maybe they don't mention that. Actually, we might be able to do this. This works better, actually. I don't know if it'll be a valid string that we would be returning, but I do know that for decoding, we could just apply the XOR on every bit. So we could take this string, right? Which is just, it's just these characters. This is our output string from the decoder. So then when we, on the decoder, we'll take that string, which is just a bunch of 1s and 0s. It's represented as something. I just don't know if it would be like valid. Like it might not actually be a word. And then the decoder will also have the period character. That does not look right. And I think we said the period was like 0s, something like that. So then we could iterate through the string. Grab every 8 bits or every byte, apply the XOR on it, which will flip it back to its original word, and then we will continue to do that for every byte until we get to the end. I think we could also do like, we could grab the string, which is divided by 8, and then we'll get the length, so we know how far we have to iterate to. Okay, I'm gonna look at hint 2. Okay, hint 2. We can encode and decode based on the length of each string. think I have another idea too. I'm gonna look at the last one. Ah, that's interesting. So do you put a number at the beginning of the string, and then you use the pound sign to mark the end? I think my solution's better. Okay, I'm gonna take a quick break, but I'll be right back. All right, let's try to solve this. Okay, I think my solution won't work. Because of the length of the string. That's why it won't work. The strings are always different length. And yeah, it just wouldn't work. Now it makes sense why one of the hints was trying to figure out the starting of the string and then marking that with the number of the length of the string that we're encoding. And then adding the pound sign at the end. So then we can iterate through this really long string. We'll have a number initially, then we can go down each character up until the pound sign and essentially use the number. I don't even think we have to turn the string into something else. I think we just have to figure out if we could use some sort of characters to indicate the beginning and end of a string. If I go to the discussion, is there going to be answers? I don't even understand what these examples are for. Yeah, the examples were kind of funny. It essentially says the same thing that this does. Anyways, what else do they say? Show the description because it is kind of open. That's very interesting that they'd say that. Like, it feels like the solution is up to you. Okay, I think that's... This is what I was thinking. Like, if your delimiter shows up in the string, how do you differentiate it? So the trick was to include the length of the word. So technically you don't have to use pound, it could be any character. Because the length of the string... Wait, why do you need the pound? Wouldn't you just not need anything? Wait, actually, never mind. You would need the pound, because if you didn't have one... Wait, no, let's whiteboard this. I'm not quite understanding why you don't need... why you need the delimiter. Why can't we just have the numbers represent the length? So let's go on to the whiteboard. Let's see. So okay. This is the input from the question. And essentially, I think what he's saying is we can look at the length of the string. So for this one's 5. And then we can put it at the beginning, followed by the word itself, and then use a delimiter. So the delimiter he uses is pound. I'm just gonna put it like this. Maybe I should do a different color. Okay, my question is, why do we even need the delimiter? Why can't we do without and just keep the numbers? Because the numbers already tell us how long we have to go before the next word occurs. Like, yeah, sure, the delimiter tells us where to stop, but essentially the number already tells us where to stop. Like, even if hello had a number, let's say 5, this would just be 6, right? So we would put, this would be 6. And we know that after our value, which indicates the number, we can iterate 6 times before the next word, which the next word would be world. Actually, the next word would be another number. We'll start with another number. Right? So you'd have, this is getting messy, but you'd have I'm gonna figure out a good color. So we'd had 5 and then let me look at the hints because I'm not too sure why we even need. Why do we even need the pound for? So we start with a number representing the length of the string, followed by a separator character. Oh, okay, so the pound goes after the number. Okay, maybe. So you do the number, which is the length of the string, followed by pound, then the word. Okay, what doesn't make sense to me is why the pound? If we have a valid array of strings, then even if that string has a number, the first value in the encoded word already indicates that there is an initial word, even if that word has so let's see, let's just draw it out. Let's draw the example that I'm thinking about. I think it'll make more sense this way. So let's say we have 5, hello. And then let's say we have down 1. Okay, this is what we have. And so as we're encoding them, we're gonna grab the string. We're gonna find its size. So this one is 6. Then we'll make a new string. It'll have 6. Then it'll have the word itself. Then we'll grab the next one. We'll add it to the end. Does that make sense? So then the encoded word, or the encoded string, always will start with the size. It will always start with the size. So it doesn't matter that we have numbers in the first string or in any other string. Even if hello had a value after it, so let's say it had a 6 here, it would just mean this was 7. But then once we iterate like this, we would know after 7 is going to be our next value. And then for this one, we can start counting one after, or sorry, we can start counting all the way up to 7. Once we get to 8, we know that that next character is going to be a new separate word. So I'm not quite sure why we would use pound for. So I'm going to try to code this one up, and maybe the code would reveal what I'm missing, because I'm not sure why we would need pound. Also, I just realized I was not sharing my screen. So, okay, this is the example I was thinking about. So the strings can have numbers in the beginning, or they can have special characters in the beginning. But if we grab their size and place it at the beginning of the string, and followed by the string itself, we know that if we pass this full string to the encoder and we iterate from the beginning, the first value of that string will always be a number. And we'll know how far to go. Anything after that length will be a new word. So the number itself represents how far we go. One after that length is the new value for the new string. And if we go past that value and maybe it's null or some garbage value, then we know we've reached the end. What we can, I think another thing we can do is we can grab we can iterate through the full string. That would make more sense. That way we don't reach a null pointer exception. Let's try that. Okay, so we have to iterate through the strings. And then we want to grab the size of each string. Oh, wait. Can you resize string in C++? I don't know that. We'll look that up. Buffer. I'm just wondering if string is the right data structure to use. I don't, or data type. I just don't know. I think in Java there's like string buffer, right? String builder, I think it is. The string builder is mutable. So does C++ have a... I'm assuming it does. Oh, it does not. Nice. Okay. Okay, my question then is, does OString stream have a toString? Oh wait, we just look up. string with reserve. So is this saying we have to define the size of string? I gotta see this. Okay. Wait, what is this? Form to? I think this is what we want. Okay, essentially we don't want to make a new string every time we're appending to the resulting string. we want to just add the new string to the end of the current string without creating a whole new string. I'm trying to figure out how do we do that, because in Java you could do the string buffer, string builder. Yeah, this is a string builder. Back insert, format to back insert buffer. Wait, then when it prints, how is it turning? Is this a string on the output? Okay, I think we have to use this. I'm gonna leave this here for now. Let's see. Okay, so we iterate through the strings vector. And then for each string size, I think we'll do i.size. Can you do size on a string? Okay, you could do that. So then we do buff. Oh wait. Okay, we want to do this. Which essentially adds, we want to add string size and then the string itself. And it looks like we can just do the number. We don't have to like convert it to a string. And it's just separated by commas. We could take this off. We could do string size and I, which is the word itself. Also, I think I was saying we have to include iterator and format. So we'll copy these. Does anyone know, like, how do we, does Neetcode do this by itself? Does it include all of the stuff we need, or do we always have to include it? Okay, and then Okay, let me think. Is this putting in place the thing we want? We want to do the number, which is the size of the string, and then we do the string itself. And we do that for all of the, yeah, we do that for all of the words in the vector. I think this is right. Let me write this here, just in case I come back to this. So you could write like takes a string, adds its length to the beginning, suppose I is maybe C. Size is 3. So then the string is now 3 ABC. And I think we could then just return the string. Or we return the buffer. More like a result, but okay. Okay, now for decode. How can we do this? So we start the loop from the beginning. And we want to go all the way this one's kind of tricky. Let's see. So do we do while j is less than s dot end? Wow, iterating through the string itself is actually more complicated than I thought. Can't think of a way to catch it. How do you catch the initial string? Then make sure you iterate only that amount. Can we use J? So we can do for int k. For some reason my k doesn't work. It's equal to 0. And then while k is less than, oh, actually, does this make sense? K, k should be equal to whatever j is. And while k is less than s dot, yeah, I think so. J is going to represent the index where the size of the string is. So for the beginning of the string, j is 0. Index 0 will have the size of the upcoming string see. Actually, you know what? We might not need to increment one by one. I think we could increment this one's gonna be weird. We could essentially, since we know that the beginning of string s contains an integer, and that integer tells us how long the following string will be, what we can do is we can grab that size, crop the letters from, say, j plus 1 up till the actual value of j, and then put that into we want to take that out into its own string, right? And then put that into a vector of vectors of type strings. What that also means is that once we crop that out, we could increment k not by 1, but by sj plus 1. Wait, not sj plus 1. Yeah, sj plus 1, which will put us in the next position of the next string, specifically its number. Let's see if we could whiteboard this a little bit more. So you need to whiteboard some code. So we could say j is going to be equal to 0. And we're going to use this string here. Let me just write it down because it's kind of messy right there. I want to move over. Yeah. So we'll do, this is S. Okay, so then j is 0. This is j. So we could do a loop. We can do something like, maybe I shouldn't do the same color. That'd be very confusing. We could do while j. I don't know if we can do this, but it's like, we're going to be jumping, j is going to be jumping like this to its next number. Eventually it's going to jump out of bound. So I kind of want to say, while it's not, that's kind of what I want to say. I don't know if that makes sense. Okay. And then we'll have we will also need a vector of type strings, I think. That's what Decode returns. So that's okay. And I don't know if this is built into strings. I'm gonna have to figure that out. Wait, let's figure that out now, because essentially if we cannot extract this string of characters, this substring of characters from the string via some built-in library or something, if we can't do that, then this whole thing falls apart, essentially. So I should probably figure out if C++ can extract substrings. Extracting substrings from a string. Okay, you can. It's called substring. Oh, it takes time. This is not good. I would have thought this would have been easier. Since you're defining the size that you want to take, it shouldn't take O of K. I feel like that would have been constant. We know the position we're in and the position we're going to. Okay. I think continuing is fine. Okay, it's just called substring. So we would do something like this is what we're gonna do. Inside the while loop, we'll do results dot push back substring, and this is kind of the key here. It's called sub str, and we tell it the beginning position, which will be j plus 1, and then the end position, which will be the value at j. Yep. And then we would do j is going to equal to wait a minute. sorry, it would be, this is wrong. We want to start from j plus 1, which is the beginning of the string, all the way up till give me 1 second. I think it's like j plus 1 plus no, I'm doing this wrong. It's the value at sj, which will be 5, plus j plus 1. And I'm just going to write under here just to make sure. So sj will be 5 plus j was 0. So this should be 6. Okay, that's wrong. We wanted to just go to O. Wait, it is 6, sorry. It's 0, 1, 2. So we want index 5. Minus 1. Wait a minute. Okay, when j moves here, okay, sj would be 6. And we want to find out this index. Sorry, sj would be 5. Oh, wait, I think we want the index, which is j itself, plus the value at that index. Because if we do 6, yeah. I think we could scrap this part. Wait, it was pretty much here. I think we just take this off. And now how do we jump j? I think it's that same math. Plus 1. So then we do j is going to equal to plus 1. Okay, maybe we walk through this. Okay, let's see. So we'll initialize j to 0. Then we can push to the resulting vector substring from j plus 1 up till j's index, j, which is the index, plus the value, which represents the end. Sorry, how big the string is, which will get us this substring here. That's what this does. And after that, we want to update j to jump to the next valid number. So we're going to take the value sj, how far we're going to jump, plus the index, because we want to increment the index by the size of the string, plus 1, which will put us into the next valid number. I just realized one thing. I didn't think about what if the string was longer. I was dealing with characters with single digits, but what do we have? Two-digit string. This completely breaks. Okay. And that's why we needed the delimiter. Cool. Okay. We're going to implement the delimiter next time because I now see my mistake after, I don't know, maybe another hour. So I think for today, I really don't have the energy to try to solve this with the delimiter. But I'll write it out here. This is, I think I pretty much pointed out the issue. But let's say the word was world is happy. Say that was the word. Oh, we had to remove that. Okay, so that word is now way longer than 5. Okay. If we look at the code here, SJ, if we were here, would look at 1 and not the 2. Which means that it would take the substring from J plus 1, which would include 2, all the way up till J, whatever the index is, which should be 6, plus 1. So 7. Well, it would be 7, so it would just take 2. And so res would be this vector with the string value 2. Not only that, but J won't jump very far. It won't jump to, let's say if we had like this at the end, it would not jump successfully to this next letter. So having that delimiter helps us group bigger numbers together. Because if we know where to stop, let's say we use the pound sign, and we have a really big number, let's say this was 100, we can iterate through the string up until we meet that first instance of the pound sign, right? So we'd start, let's say this is index 0, 1, 2, 3. We've seen a pound. We can extract the number before the pound. So then we have an integer 100, and we would know that our string is 100 characters long. Then anything after the pound, even if there was another pound, it would be irrelevant, because now we know the true size of the full string, right? Repeating characters, or specifically repeating characters of our delimiter is irrelevant here. Yeah. There would be no way without this delimiter to just keep the number. And what comes to mind instantly is, let's say we have 100, which represents the size of the string. But then we also have the string. Let's say the string was 100, hello world, or right, all the way up to 100. So the issue here is we iterate from 0, and we go to 0, sorry, 1, 2. We know that here it ends here, right? But the loop would not know that. So then it would go down to 1, then 0, then 0, and it will keep going down indefinitely. There's nothing indicating that this is where we stop, unless we have some sort of character. The character can be anything, really. Some sort of character here after the value we care about. Some sort of character that represents the stop of the count. Oh man. So here, we could have like a period or a comma. Doesn't really matter. Yeah. So here we would add the size of the string followed by some character, a pound, like that. And then in the loop, we will still have I. We can still grab substrings, I think. But we'll worry about this tomorrow. Okay.